You're listening to Building the Dream, a show that inspires people to explore business, entrepreneurship, and professional development. I'm Matt Lambert.
And I'm Alex Kazitsa, and we're sitting down with business professionals and entrepreneurs to talk about their journeys, the lessons they've learned, and how they're building their dream. Hey guys, we're here with Ray Madison, owner and founder of Design IQ. Ray, why don't you start us off with two interesting facts about yourself?
Two interesting facts. One, everybody expects me to say I'm a pilot. That's one of the most interesting things about me, I suppose. Another one, I am a transportation design major and do not own a car. Bike commute, bus commute, move.
Those are forms of transportation.
Move as slow as possible. Move as slow as possible way.
Cool.
I gotcha. So, in a previous conversation, you had mentioned that you're originally from Michigan. So, what brought you to Duluth?
What brought me to Duluth, I have I mentioned previously, I have a transportation design degree. When I graduated, basically I graduated at the time that General Motors was going through their bankruptcy. So I had to get creative with job prospects, and I ended up really gravitating towards automotive interiors more than anything else. I like the color, the texture, lighting, and I think it had more content than some of the exterior design stuff. And my dad, who was also a pilot for the Detroit Police, told me, hey, Cirrus is doing car interiors inside of airplanes, and at the time they were the only ones doing it. Now everybody does it. So I came to Duluth, which I didn't tell my mom. I told her I had a job at Cirrus, but really I had an interview at Cirrus. So I drove up here with my girlfriend. I didn't tell her either. That
you didn't tell your girlfriend?
No, I told her that when I came to Duluth. I didn't tell her that I was coming here for an interview.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I came up here for the interview, got the job, and what was really neat was at the time it was still not for public consumption that they were doing the jet program. So I moved up here to work at Cirrus on what I thought would be the propeller aircraft, and I ended up being one of the first early people on the concept development group for the Cirrus jet program on their interiors. And it sounds exciting, but early on, being the young guy, I think I was 20. We're designing cup holders and figure out the guy that was running the program was like, this thing has to have more cup holders than anything else. That's legit, dude. Why is it not?
I have a really good CD player.
Like, figure out the cup holders. Something like that. This is 700 miles away, and I'm designing cup holders, and then eventually later I do seats and carpets and everything else. And that's what we did. So I came here to work at Cirrus to make car interiors and airplanes.
What made you stay?
Earlier, I mentioned I didn't have a car.
I can't leave.
The bus doesn't take me out.
The Duluth bus doesn't go to Detroit. Back to Detroit. No, I loved it. I fell in love with aviation. My dad's a pilot. I got adopted by aerospace. Is the way I like to think of it.
I got you.
Awesome.
Most of what we do, even as even self-employed, is in aerospace.
Let's talk about industrial design. How did you get into that? Like, what inspired you? How did you decide to go into that?
So I was always drawing cars. Actually, it was weird. There's this dude, and it was funny. He was this big tough guy, and he was really into like the Lowrider scene. This is the 90s.
Yep.
I respect it.
And he was always drawing the Lowriders with the tiny little wheels popping out, and the car was sitting up on three wheels or whatever. And he was drawing it. And at the time, I was drawing, Superman, Batman, whatever. We're talking middle school, elementary. Mm-hmm. And he was cooler than me, so I was like, I'm cool too.
Be like that guy.
I'm gonna draw cars. And then when I opened up the Lowrider magazines, a bunch of girls in there too. So I was like, this is super dope. This is amazing. I love cars. Gran Turismo came out, so I started messing around with Supers and Skylines and everything else. I loved that. So then I started drawing the import cars. My dad built a 1969 Camaro before it was cool. Sold it
T-tops?
69, ain't it? T-tops in 1969. That's,
I don't remember
that was
what
IROC days, man.
Was it IROC?
No,
Okay.
69 they absolutely had.
They did not have T-tops.
Yes, they did. My dad had a 69 Corvette.
Cut to camera. Camaros didn't have T-tops in
Camaro.
1969.
Okay.
Right.
Okay, we'll
Fair
switch
enough.
that.
They're going to bring up the Google search and then just put it right here. No, they didn't have T-tops in...
No,
the
the
Camaro
Camaro.
didn't have
Okay.
T-tops in 69.
Okay.
The Corvette probably...
It did. My dad had a 69 Corvette Stingray with T-tops.
Alright, that's cool. Your dad's cool as hell.
Yeah, he's cool.
So my dad built a 69 Camaro. I remember that. I like to think that I helped build it, but I was also 8.
So you're holding the flashlight being yelled at.
I was just being yelled at. Give me that damn flashlight. Shining on the thing I said to shine it on.
We've all been there.
I didn't do anything, I'm sure. But I like to think that I helped build the car. And it won basically every contest it was put into. And then he sold it to my cousin for like $10,000. Like right before like the market for 69 Camaros took off.
Yeah.
It was like 5 years later, you're selling for $100,000 or whatever. I was like, you dummy. So anyway, that's kind of where the car love came from. It came from this dude Dion. I don't know where he's at. Drawing Lowriders, and my dad building muscle cars, and that was it. I was off to the races. My neighbor actually worked for Pininfarina, who is the design IQ of Ferrari, right? They design all the Ferrari. They're the industrial design house that designs Ferrari, along with a few other Bertone and some other people. And he had said, if you go to CCS, you could, you could come back and talk to me, and maybe we can get you independent Pininfarina. And I did go to CCS, but I'm also fairly irresponsible, so I never followed up and talked to him. So that's why I'm not living this lavish life in Italy right now. And so that's what inspired me to go to CCS. And what was interesting about that is I went to Crockett High School, which is now what's the name? Ben Carson School of Science and Technology. Our head of housing and urban development is also a Detroit graduate. They put his name on my high school. My wife clowns me about right now. So yeah, anyway, it's Elaine Jones Crockett was the name of it at the time, and they had a commercial art program. So I went through the commercial art program, and that got me into, it was a vocational school. My vocation was commercial art. I went to CCS to go work for Pininfarina. I never called the guy back, even though he lived a couple doors down. And then I ended up at Cirrus when I couldn't get a job at General Motors, Ford, or Chrysler, which were what we all thought were our only options at school.
Mm-hmm. So after your stint at Cirrus, how did you decide that entrepreneurship was the path for you?
I still haven't decided that entrepreneurship is the path for me. What they didn't tell me at school was industrial design outside of the automotive space is a temporary gig. The aerospace industry doesn't have perpetual R&D cycles. So, Cirrus designed the SR series in the late 90s, and it still hasn't been redesigned. They designed a jet starting in like the late 2000s, and they just finished that. So that's the product life cycle of airplane companies. Is every decade you need an industrial designer.
Hard to keep somebody
Which
up
they
there.
never mentioned when I spent all that money on that education. So, so I got laid off from Cirrus, and then I went to another aircraft company, and then we finished up our job there too, and we got laid off from there. I went to another airplane company. I was like, okay, I know I can see the writing on the wall, so let's just let's do something else. So at that point, being the only black guy in aerospace, people remembered me, so I could kind of go from the Cessna, Piper, TBM, and other places, and people started to recognize me, like, oh yeah, I know you. And I say, how do you remember me? But, but it was good because while one company may not need a perpetual R&D cycle, you can overlap them and jump from company to company. So that's what forced aerospace, and then I ran out of airplane companies. So now we are in a new on a new trajectory to try to break into the automotive market, which I found, it's kind of full circle, right? You go into school to try to be a car designer, leave to be an automotive, to aircraft design, and circle right back into car design. What I'm finding there is that industry is decades ahead of aerospace, and there's money.
Yeah.
You should go into an industry with money. They pay you right away.
Yeah.
It's great.
As they keep you.
But there's a lot more, so there's this big convention, just as a comparison from aerospace to automotive. The big aerospace prom is Oshkosh in Wisconsin. Don't know why. It's probably the only place in America with enough room to have that many airplanes. Couldn't do that in New York. But it's there's more airplanes. I wish I could find the exact spec that I looked up, but there's more airplanes in this tiny little town in Oshkosh, Wisconsin, than there are. And in the spec, they start naming off all these countries, India, China, whatever. And there's more places in this tiny little town than there are in a few other countries combined. It's amazing. It's tens of thousands of airplanes. So I thought this was as big as it gets, right? Mm-hmm. Then I went to SEMA, which is just an automotive aftermarket convention in Las Vegas, and I'm like, wow, Oshkosh is like small potatoes, and there's just so much money. Mm-hmm. There's so much money, and the cars are worth so much more than airplanes are worth more, but it's
the thing is,
just so much.
Everybody has a car. Not everybody has an airplane.
Nobody has.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
In reality,
we'll talk about that in a minute.
I know more people with airplanes than average, but I've been in my entire adult life in that industry. But you went to, if you guys are car guys, I'm at SEMA and you'd see a Koenigsegg, and it'd say the world's fastest car, but not like Koenigsegg is the world's fastest car. Like this one is literally the one that was the world's fastest car.
Yeah.
It's like, wow,
it's like a one-off. Yeah, like
they recently just set that record too.
Did they do it again?
I think they did.
No, that was Bugatti. 300.
Oh,
300 too many miles an hour.
Okay, too many.
Titanium balls is amazing. Yeah, 300 and some odd miles an hour.
Jeez.
So no longer. So I don't know. They're probably got to. I don't know if that car will be a SEMA this year again. Second passes.
If you ain't first, you're last.
That's not really cool anymore, I guess.
I mean, I still feel pretty cool driving around Koenigsegg.
I'd take one. I told you I ride the bus. It's much faster than the bike.
Koenigsegg made a bike. I'd ride that thing for sure.
Fastest bike in the world.
Put a little Ferrari emblem on the front of your bike.
The 0 to 60
I got a
is never.
Newcastle on the front of my bike right now. So that was sort of the big round robin from automotive to aerospace, back to automotive. I am being held hostage by aerospace, so I'm still doing aircraft stuff, and there's some really interesting stuff. I think the whole industry is going through a revival, as the California tech industry is really taking the reins and doing something different with supersonic airline transport, and electric power plants are starting to become realistic. Even electric vertical takeoff and landing is starting to become realistic. So I feel like honestly, if you're paying attention, like we're seeing the Wright Flyer and the Model T happen all at once in aerospace, in the same way that we saw Tesla make a whole new category.
Yeah.
Aerospace lags 10 years behind automotive, I think, in my opinion. So just how you saw the electrification and the autonomization of automotive, you're seeing the same thing happen now in aerospace.
As an entrepreneur, are you positioning yourself in a better place to adapt to that marketplace?
Hell yeah, because everybody else is in both automotive and in aerospace, because everybody's so resistant to change. So I feel like if we can be dynamic and embrace change, then we'll be the first people that can compete, right? So if you have these big companies that are, deciding, we're going to make turbocharged engines, and that's going to be our bread and butter, and we're really going to stick to our guns. If we can be flexible and figure out what performance looks like later when power plants are electric and autonomous, and what does that vehicle look like, and become subject matter experts on that before the big guys do, before the big guys care. That gives us maybe a little foot in the door to be, in the future of what I think our industry should be.
Well, so it's a lot like, I feel like it compares a lot to the story about the Camaro, where, your dad sold the Camaro for $10,000 at point A, and all of a sudden it went up. I feel like, we've kind of conquered cars and travel on roads. The next stop is air travel.
Oh,
so if you can be at the forefront of that, you're ahead of the curve.
So you're saying sell low and then watch everything go high.
No!
I'm going to get out of the industry and watch everybody else take off. Damn it!
Well, you're already in the aerospace industry.
Yes, we are.
You have the experience there.
I do think, honestly, I think the Model T of autonomous electric airplanes is already on paper, if not in CAD, or being built already.
So it's somewhere on somebody's
sure
blueprint.
supersonic airline transport is already, being painted right now and getting ready to go. I think early 2020s, these guys are going to be, Mach 1.5, Mach 2, getting to London in 5 hours.
That's crazy.
So,
That's crazy.
It's a lot
We
less
get to see
infrastructure than if you were to do supersonic trains. It takes a
supersonic trains?
Yeah, or like the bullet train and stuff.
But you really are thinking in the future. Like I'm riding my bike.
Yeah, the train.
You guys get hit by a supersonic train.
Jesus Christ.
Ray got hit by a train at 5,000 miles per hour. For some reason, he exploded.
Where's his body?
Everywhere.
Just all over the place.
Let me back that up. Going for increased velocity travel planes is a lot more viable than building up the infrastructure for bullet trains. You have to lay so much track to go between cities, between states, between countries, whereas airspace, that's your medium.
Oh yeah, it's hard to hit anything in an airplane.
Mm-hmm.
There's no deer that's gonna run out in front of you. There's no bikers. There's no, to a certain extent, all airplanes that are flying high are autonomous, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're all communicating. They're all on a flight plan. They're all flying. Nobody's hand flying at 50,000 feet. Nobody.
Yeah.
So I mean, it is ahead in that regard. It's just takeoff, landing, and low altitude stuff. I think that's not yet, but airplanes have been supersonic since the 40s, 50s.
Sounds right.
Somewhere in there. We can Google it later.
Right.
But so yeah, I think the sort of democratization of that, bringing that down to civilian levels is what's next. I think so. And we were doing supersonic airline transport in the 60s with the Concorde and the Concorde ski.
Yeah.
I remember that SR-21 Blackbird from COD. That's the only airplane I remember.
I know everything I know about aerospace comes from Call of Duty. And a little bit of Grand Theft Auto.
My mom never let me play Grand Theft Auto.
Oh, man.
We're gonna cut that out. That makes you seem so much more cool.
Because she only had one controller. She's like, time for bed. I know that trick. I do that to my daughter.
So, tell us about your day-to-day operations here at Design IQ. What does it look like from when you get here until you're walking out the door?
So it's not a stable day. We have strong ebbs and flows. I think any service-based industry is like that. So I think we go from. So I'll tell you about two phases of what we have. So we go from strong sales, looking for the next gig, basically all day. LinkedIn, we just discovered LinkedIn Sales Navigator, which costs way too much, but it gives you a lot of insight into finding customers. So I can decide I want to be in the RV design industry. Filter it down and find everybody in digital stock people in the RV industry. Then it flips to trying to service a client once we actually win an award of some sort, right? So at that point, we're focused on getting through defining the form, function, and style of a product. So I guess I'll start with that one first. When we're in servicing a client mode, we're trying to take a concept from some founder, some CEO waving his hand saying, it's this big, it's that tall, it's that long, it's that short. It does, it does all. It has all of these features, and at that point, it's sort of a definition problem. So let's suppose we're making a name a product. What do you think?
Tide Pods.
Tide Pods. We're trying to poison as many children as possible.
How about a shovel?
Let's go with a shovel instead. Shovel.
We're editing out the Tide Pods.
I want to go with a shovel with a telescoping handle, right? So early on, it's rough napkin sketch. Like, how big is this shovel? What's the longest the telescoping handle is going to be? What's the shortest the telescoping handle is going to be? The next phase is, who else makes telescoping shovels first? If not shovels, what else telescopes? Tripods, whatever else.
Telescopes.
What can we use? Telescopes, right? Camera lenses, whatever. But we're trying to figure out, rough packaging ideas. And what we do after, these napkin sketches, trying to figure out what it is. Then we try to figure out how big it is and whether or not we can fit all the stuff we need inside of it. Right? So we're doing really, really rough CAD work, saying, okay, here's the biggest, here's the smallest, here's how many pieces we need to cut it in to get it from this size to that size. So maybe it segments in 3 pieces, maybe 5 pieces. What's it made of? Is it carbon fiber? We can't afford that. Is it, aluminum? Can't afford that. Is it steel? It's too heavy. Okay, back to aluminum, right? Like, we're trying to figure out what's it made of, how's it going to be made, and then after we get this rough CAD block made that fits the size, the rough envelope. Then we sketch. We go back and sketch over the top of that CAD model to figure out what the styling is going to be. Now that we know roughly what the proportions are and we know the stuff is probably going to fit, how do we give it that what airplane call ramp appeal, or sex appeal? Like, how do you make it look good enough for you to want to buy it? At the same time, I'd say a parallel process is sort of the usability thing. So for UI, we call it PDI for an aircraft cockpit. We pilot vehicle interface, HMI for general product human machine interface. But ergonomics is basically what it is. What are your ergonomic standards for whatever it is they're trying to do? Broom handle. What is the diameter of the handle part that you're holding, and how long does the ergonomic handle need to be, and what is the shape? We start off by figuring out what the ergonomic standards are. There are some published ergonomic standards. We 3D print a part, or clay, or hand sculpt out of foam pieces, bunch of different pieces, hand them to a bunch of people, hand them to 5th percentile female and 95th percentile male. And if you fall out of 5th percentile female, 95th percentile male, you're used to being uncomfortable, so
let it go.
Whatever. You just want to make sure
it feels good.
Drink your milk, be normal.
Eat your kids.
Be normal, we're generally not worried about that. But that's the kind of, for non-essential stuff, that's kind of your standard. 5th percentile female. So we find those 2 people and figure out, how to make it fit that range of body types. And we might make, if it's something like a yoke for an airplane, or a steering wheel for a car, or a shifter, we do 12, 20 pieces, right? We're just saying, this corner is, kind of hard to hold on to. This button is too far for me. And the problem is, when you get a range of people that big, if you make something that fits the 5th percentile female, the 95th percentile male is going to say, I can't get to it either. You know? So that's really the big challenge, and that's really a lot of where the churn goes, is we're trying to get those ergonomics figured out. From there, we move into what we call Class A surfacing, which I think if there was a core competency of design at Kayla would be CAS, or computer-aided sculpting. That's where we make the highly refined sculpted surfaces that are informed by the aesthetic value. It's got to look great. It has to conform to that model that everybody agrees the buttons are in the right place and it feels right. And manufacturing reality, stuff like draft angle and thickness, and wall thickness, and all that kind of stuff. We make a solid model that doesn't necessarily have any of the features in it yet that we can 3D print that conforms to all of those features. And from that point, it gets really boring. That's where we take that Class A surface, which is just a sculpture, and we cut it into pieces, and then we go find the screws and the buttons and the overlaps and make sure it fits together, and do it 20 or 30 different times, making tiny little refinements to the product until it works. We send it to the injection mold manufacturer, and they send us back a bunch of suggested changes. It turns into a really cyclical, slow process. That makes it hard to invoice for, because all the cool, fun stuff where the stakeholders are having fun is 30%.
Yeah.
And then the end of it, where we're like, too long. They don't want to pay you for that. But that takes 70% of the time is trying to figure out what the wall thickness is going to be. How do we get the draft angle but still get that same look?
Well, that's not like the fun part. That's not the sexy part of it. That's like, okay, we gotta move this 2 millimeters to the left.
Yeah, and 2 millimeters is a lot. We're talking that part is what I found challenging as a service provider. Is it's hard to charge for that because people don't necessarily see the value in that.
Mm-hmm. They don't care
because it's not as much fun, and you see a ton of progress happening in the beginning. When they first had that thing in their hand, like, yes, that's how it should fit together.
Yes, but then the little tiny, making every little piece perfect. That's the hard part.
God, my last project was on a sports water bottle, or a sports protein shake bottle.
We're gonna take a look at it.
I spent so much time on threads, like trying to get the threads modeled so that it fit together right, and who cares? Nobody. I mean, I do because it needs to go together. Well, because I was paid to, but everything grinds to just a creep at the end of the project, and that is the expensive part of the project. But that's the part that actually gets you not just a pretty picture on the website, but something that can actually be manufactured. Mm-hmm. I don't even remember what the question was.
That's all right. We got to move on anyway.
Well, it sounds like there's a lot of things that go into what you do here. And as a father and a husband, how does your family fit into your business model?
So my wife is president of the company. At some point about a year ago, I figured out that I could not run a company. I don't have it in me. Turns out artists and business owners don't really...
Different halves of the brain.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't fit together really well, according to the IRS. So I had to try to get somebody in there who can look at all the realities of running a business. Which where do you learn any of that stuff? Other than everybody I know, and I don't know if it made it in any of your videos, but we all screwed up. Every entrepreneur I talked to, you ask them about
you're right.
taxes and. What your corporate structures is, everybody's like, oh yeah, I totally screwed that up. Yeah. And everybody that's successful screwed it up and then figured it out later, they were able to make a graceful recovery from it. My wife was the one who made the graceful recovery. So she came in, she restructured the company as a corporation, and actually did bookkeeping, which...
What? What is that?
I'm designing airplanes.
Yeah. Books. She sends invoices and then follows up. When she first started, she was so mad at me because I shit you not, people would come up to me like, "Hey Ray, you never sent me an invoice," and she was like, yeah, I was gonna get that to you. Well, it's been 6 months. I get that to you right now, you know. And I'm still bad at that, but I don't do that anymore. Like, I'm good at the CAD part. You know, if it's industrial design, then I got it. If it's being a responsible adult, then I don't. And I figured that out, and I came to a crossroads like 2 years ago. Where it was like, okay, I either gotta like go get a real job, or continue to be professionally unemployed. But
I like that.
actually, form the company. So my goal, which is like the anti-entrepreneurship goal, because I'm like an anti-entrepreneur, like I'm so bad at it, is to do everything I can early on in the company to make a dope-ass company that I want to work for, and then just work for that company as an employee.
Yeah.
So I don't have to do stuff like buy garbage cans. Like when I first got this office, I was like, I had to throw away this apple.
Open the window.
There's a garbage can in that.
Well, no,
don't come with a garbage.
I think there's something to be said about that, though.
Yeah.
You want to make sure that you're focusing your time and energy. You only have so much time in each day. You want to make sure that you want to make sure that you're focusing your time and energy on the things that you want to do and that the things that you're good at.
Yeah.
You know, you shouldn't have to take a 20-minute trip to Menards to buy garbage cans. If you could spend that 20 minutes designing, a sports bottle,
but they all do, and that's why I want to be an employee of Design IQ. I want Design IQ to be
you have to hire. I feel like you have to hire out the things that
hire your weaknesses.
Yeah,
all of them. That's not design.
But if that's the reality, then
design. And that's the reality. Like, I'm not a natural entrepreneur, and that wasn't the goal. That wasn't the plan. It just turned out that the R&D field isn't as perpetual as it needed to be. And that really is. I think that is the momentum. Like, I say that in a kidding way, but it is reality that eventually I would just be an employee. And I guess legally and technically I am an employee of Design IQ, even though I founded it. That is my measure of success, is when I'm in this office by myself with the door closed. I just do design stuff, with my day. Like that's my ultimate measure of success. And I want to buy a car one day too. That'd be nice too.
What do you mean? You're gonna have a plane that flies around Duluth?
I hope so. I'd love to have a plane before I have a car. I'll fall over that.
Just skip it.
Just skip the whole thing.
So any company can benefit from what you do. Anybody. How do you market a service that you're out of Duluth? How can you market a service that people can benefit from worldwide? How do you reaching new people?
So that's one of the things we struggle with, is people want employees, and our message to people has been employees are expensive for industrial design.
Oh, absolutely,
they're expensive,
and
a lot of times they're temporary. Like, you really don't need a long-term industrial design solution. Like, once I finish my job, which for something like a sports bottle, takes a month, 2 months. Well, do you want to have a full-time employee where you're trying to figure out, I got to make a smaller sports bottle or something because this guy's looking at me to pay his mortgage. We don't have to worry about that. Like, I got, we'll just move on to the next project, right? So you don't need to pay for all of that. The marketing comes a lot from LinkedIn. I think our biggest asset lately has been that LinkedIn Sales Navigator. It's $80 a month, which I can just hear the world chuckling, going, you can't afford $80 a month. I cannot afford $80 a month. But it does help us reach people that we wouldn't have been able to talk to at larger companies.
Yeah.
The problem with our business, the opportunity with our business is we need to be on larger projects to be profitable.
Yeah.
We need to be on a 3-month, 6-month, year-long, 2-year-long project with a company like.
If there's somebody you want to announce, you say it right now.
like Tesla. They're trying to get to Elon Musk. I don't know if he follows this channel. Click the like and subscribe button. Yeah.
We'll get you in touch with Elon. Don't worry.
You know?
Yeah,
You know? Okay. Tell him to hit me up. Tell him to hit me up. I'll have his people call my people. I'll answer the phone and feel like I'm people. Hold please. Yeah.
There's gonna be so much editing in
There's
this video.
gonna have to be a lot of editing. There will be. We need larger companies. We need 3 months, 6 months, year, 2 years. You know, that's like the perfect size for us. I don't know if it matters to talk about the size of revenue that we would need, the project size that we would need to work with.
If you want to,
Doesn't matter. If we had a $5,000 project, we'd probably lose money on it.
Yeah.
$500,000 project over 6 months makes more sense for us to
Yeah.
put 4 designers on that project.
Yeah.
Which sounds like a lot, but according to people that I've sent estimates to, that sounds like a lot. But hire 5 designers and see if it costs you $150,000.
Yeah. Good luck.
Way more than that. And guess what? At the end of 6 months to a year, you get to not pay us anymore. Right?
Right.
And you don't have to worry about insurance and everything else. So until we reach that level of more than a certain size project, a certain duration, a certain price point, we are almost certainly losing money on a project. A lot of it we do for outreach. Maybe it's a really cool project. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But there really is a point. There is a point where publicity, however you want to put it.
Yeah.
There is a certain point where you got to know your size.
Right.
And you got to know that, hey, if it's a 2-week-long project, there's no way a company this size can service that. You know, maybe Upwork is going to be better for you, right?
Yeah.
So that's. I don't even remember what the question was.
Keep saying that. Don't worry about the question.
Okay.
We'll keep moving on.
Let's transition to some of the cool projects you have done.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to reach in there and grab that water bottle here in a second.
Yeah, the water bottle. Grab the water bottle. That's cool. I like the water bottle. Don't show the logo.
Oh yeah.
It's still in work. Is this pop open? Does that matter?
I don't know. Break it open. Who cares? Just kidding.
Well, I think it's really cool. I can't get open. If we can get very Brit. You need a designer to figure this out. Very cool.
So you said like the
Oh, I'm there. Yeah, that's not my thing.
Mr. 2 millimeters.
Mr. No Pull out here.
Oh my god. This is gonna get us in legal trouble.
You should. Alright, yeah. So we talked about the water bottle.
Cool projects you've been involved in?
Yeah, so we talked about some projects that we worked on. This is one of the cool ones. This is a water bottle, and it's just got a bunch of different design challenges to it, like figuring out different threads that fit together correctly. I guess there's tolerances and all sort of realities with plastic manufacturing, injection molding, stuff like that. Tons of little details, things, and latches and retainers to make it flip open and seal once you're actually using it. It's just a
you can't have water. You can't have water spilling out of it if you're drinking out of it.
That's true. Well, it should only come out of one spot.
Real water. We're only hydrating one person.
That's
at a
right.
time.
But the cool thing, I think, what's really neat this project shows is we talked about blocking something in and then stepping up through different levels of resolution. So our printer is a really rough resolution printer. So we're able to figure out what the size was, show it to the people, see the design, figure out the graduated scale for how much powder and water or whatever else you got in there, and then actually send out for a higher resolution print, which looks just about like a injection molded part, super smooth, very tight tolerances, and even with this design, you can see there's a bunch of different markups, written on the part.
What do we fix here? What do we change? Yeah.
Yeah. Fix this, change that, change this. You never know until you get to this level of resolution. And then finally, you actually go to the highest resolution, which would be actually injection molding the part. Now, the reason you actually step up, and I think this applies to every project you've ever done. actually start off cheap, rough resolution, get to a higher level, because this tooling cost for an injection molded part is in the tens of thousands of dollars, right? Mm-hmm. So you better make sure it fits really well, then the pieces interface really well, and then you only really get kind of one shot to make that $6,000 mistake, because this piece is the wrong shape. So we really do take kind of that gradual approach to it. Now the other way to do it, which some industrial design firms do, and I think we really walk the line. I think this one part. Market differentiators is a word that
your
Business Review would tell me to use.
Right.
Is we move really quickly. So I think having that ability to go to the rough scale, figure something out, make decisions, move into the next scale, make decisions. You don't get into that, what some people call paralysis by analysis.
Mm-hmm.
I need to make the absolute perfect thing the first time and send it straight to the injection molder. In that way, what you're doing is you're filtering out all possibilities of a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
So it's great to early on throw stuff at the wall and have it not work. That's encouraged. Not only is it fine, but it's encouraged if you can make it fast enough and cheap enough that you're not wasting time. So you're not leaving good ideas on the table.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's where our workflow is unique in this business. Is that we have the maturity to know whether something is worth chasing or not. And that's the tough part, right? Is this a dumb idea, just hearing it? Is it worth spending any more time having this discussion?
That's hard to know, because you don't know what's going to take off and what's not going to take off.
I think it's maturity. It's having failed enough times to know.
Don't spend the effort on it.
Don't go down that route. Or, and a lot of times, it is client training where you're saying, let's suppose you wanted to make you wanted to make a titanium and carbon fiber cell phone case. It's off the top, it's going to cost about this much. Do we need to go any further, or can we do something different? So and also, look, there's no other ones like that. So it's a reason. But you actually have to say that with some authority, and having gone down that road and having failed before, and I think we're going on our 15th-ish year, in the business, having done, some of our, I say 10th year, in this business, having already gone down those roads and seeing that maybe some of them work, or maybe they don't work, or maybe they're too expensive, but having actual data to back up your ideas and being able to weed out the bad ones quickly and pursue the good ones, and know which ones to filter, I think comes with maturity. I think we're finally getting there, and that only comes with time. Yeah. I think a lot of entrepreneurs, I think, should have worked in the field before they actually launch.
Right.
So they know
what's going on, how to improve
train on someone else's dime.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. And you see
don't reinvent the wheel. Why would you?
Mm-hmm.
Why would you?
You should reinvent the wheel.
Well, no, okay, but if
to
the
make
wheel,
it better.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's okay, so they made the wheel. Now you find out how to improve on the wheel. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying you have to make it a different shape, because it already fucking works. But you have to read. Oh, okay.
You gotta read. Yes. There you go.
Hold on. Don't reinvent the wheel, because the wheel already works. Just find out how to make the wheel better.
Exactly. Or just know what to chase, know what bone to chase, and which one to let go.
Right. Cool. Exactly. So what's in the future for Design IQ? What's coming up next?
The future for Design IQ is is it kind of like what we'll be working on, what's in the future of the industry, or what's more boring, just day-to-day type of shit?
What do you want to talk about? What's next?
Yeah. Any plans that you have for the business personally? Any fields you want to get into?
Yep. Yeah. So we want to. So Design IQ for the first couple of years has been growing from Ray Madsen freelance, and I've been trying as much as I can to step back from the company as a brand and have the company be a brand itself. Ultimately, I think another level of success, me working for a fantastic company, is first and foremost an excellent level of success. But also, my daughter, who's 9, and really appreciates entrepreneurship, and she said, "I'm gonna run design on Q one day." And I don't know if she will or not. She's 9. But it would be cool if that was an option, right? Like I really look up to a lot of companies around here who are multi-generational. You know, so it'd be really neat if I could hand her a debt-free company that already has a client base that she can just keep running with. I think that's a good goal, even if she decides not to do it. That's a good motivation to keep this thing going. And she acts like she's interested right now.
Plenty of time to change your mind.
Plenty of time to change her mind.
Right.
She might end up being, a psychologist. Who knows what she'll do. But so that's one of the things that's next. The other thing that the way we get there is me filtering down what I'm good at, and then having more people to fulfill the roles that I'm not good at. I do a lot of graphic design. I suck at it. I do. Edit that out. Somebody may pay me to do that. I've been paid to do it before. I do graphic design, but it would be good to have a full-time graphic designer. It would be great to have a mechanical engineer. It would be great to have, some other different roles. And I think the first thing we need to pursue is a full-time salesperson, because earlier on in the process, I talked about that we go through these ebbs and flows. These times we're not making any money and we're aggressively pursuing sales. Which is the reason I'm talking to you now. And then there's other times where I don't have time to even sit down and breathe, and we need to dampen that. We need to have less peaks and less valleys and just have it even out. And I think the way to do that is to have a person who's full-time is filling out our calendar and understanding what our capacity is, because I'm terrible at that. If you ask me, hey, can you design a submarine? I'm like, hell yeah, and I'd be Googling how to make a submarine. Tomorrow. I have no idea how to do that, but I have trouble saying I can't do something. A salesperson to approach the right people in the right size businesses in that range that we discussed earlier, and fill up our calendar and let them know, hey, yeah, we can start on your project in 6 months, and 6 months later we're either going to renegotiate the contract and do something different, and fill out that calendar and just even this company out would be transformational, especially if we had a mechanical designer who really care about the details that I don't care about, and a graphic designer who really fill out our offering and make us more of a holistic offering. That'd be great. From a cool, what I want to do standpoint, the clients that I want to pursue, automotive, aerospace. There's a lot of cool stuff happening with private space travel. So I think a lot of stuff with Blue Horizon and SpaceX, wanting to send people into space. That's an excellent transition from airplanes into going into these private spacecraft travel planes. I think that'd be really cool. So,
absolutely.
Yeah, so I think that'd be a natural transition for us. It's a bit of a moonshot, but nobody else is going for it.
You have to aim for it.
And I think it'd be really cool.
Yeah.
So,
Awesome,
so I'd love to understand what those realities are and go after that. I'd also like to be one of the few industrial design companies. I'm sure there's others, but I want to discount all those people so that they come here that look into autonomous vehicles. I think we're going to have a whole paradigm shift in automotive enthusiasm with electric cars, autonomous cars. That kind of thing is going to look different than your dad in his 1960s Corvette. The new guy that's excited about the Tesla is a totally different guy than our dad's.
Right.
What does his automotive enthusiasm look like? I won't be selling exhaust manifolds to Tesla owners.
You're right. Yeah.
Right? We'll be designing something different. And I think we need to gain an understanding of what this new world looks like as it electrifies and autonomizes. Trademark.
Awesome. Hey, well, that was super cool. That was one of the most eye-opening interviews I think we've had so far.
Cool.
I really appreciate you sitting down with us, Ray.
All right. Sounds good.
Ray Madison with Design IQ. Doesn't matter if you need a part for an aircraft or if you're just trying to design the next water bottle. Ray's your guy.
You